So there's a process. You call and you confirm the appointment the day of or the day before, go through all the pre-qualification questions, make sure that it's going to be a good appointment. All the decision makers are there, see how much they owe on the house, what happened last time, what didn't work, what were they not happy with, what they're looking for in an agent. Go over, meet with the people, and sit down in the living room or sit down at the kitchen table, not the living room, and actually go through a full presentation. And I do the same thing for every one of my listings, whether it's a $100,000 listing or $4 million listing. It's the same presentation. And it's just a system and process that I know that works. I lost 200 listings probably in my career by just beating my head against the wall before I learned a process that works. And we don't lose that many anymore. Knock on wood.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me, it's Aaron Wittenstein, and we're here with Vulcan7 Roadmap. This is where we talk to agents across the country in regards to taking an additional 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 listings a week. All right. And we've got really, I mean, this guy sold like 400 expires and for sale by owners over his career. Caleb Pearson out of Charleston, South Carolina. Not North Carolina, as I thought for a second over there, right?
Yeah.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. I love your energy.
I appreciate that. I fake it well. That's because I've had 37 cups of coffee today.
Hey,
so.
Same.
So from the conversation that we had, is you have a lot of experience with expireds and FSBOs, right? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I got in the business 14 years ago-ish. No, more like 12 or 13 years ago. And I moved to Charleston from Virginia Beach. Didn't know anybody. So I didn't have a sphere I didn't have any friends, family that I could get ramped up with. I really didn't know the area. But someone that worked at Keller Williams, I'm currently at Remax now, but someone that worked at Keller Williams said, hey, if you want to get started, here's the first place to start. For sale by owners and expired listings, I've already said they want to sell, call these guys. And then I listened to every podcast, every training call, went to every seminar. So, I mean, I got as good as I possibly could in calling for sale by owners and expired, and I just hammered them.
So when you were calling them, like I said, because it's been a bit, because you've transitioned, your business now from calling the expires and the for sale by owners a lot more towards more of a referral bit, but you still have a team, that's doing it, so you're training them. But so like, how can I put this? So when you were calling, it was maybe a little bit of a different animal, if you will. Did you have like a system in place that you would call this one at this time, this one at this time, so on and so forth?
I mean, I called them all day long. I didn't really have any other leads to call. So, I mean, I'd start at 8 a.m. and call the newest ones first. And then I'd call yesterday's right after that. And then they just stack up over time. And I was relentless. Like if anybody told me, actually, I didn't even care if they told me no. I was still following up with them. So unless they told me they were going to call and make a complaint to the board, I pretty much called them consistently once a week. If I knew that the numbers were right, and just kept following up until they relisted. Because I don't care what anybody tells you, I would say 60 to 70% of people that list and expire end up putting the house back on the market. Maybe higher than that.
Yeah, true. And I mean, so what did you enjoy more? Did you enjoy more? I shouldn't say enjoy, right? But I don't know if we thoroughly enjoy calling this stuff. It's fun for me. Yeah. I'm crazy. But were you more of an expired guy or a FSBO guy, or did it really not matter?
It didn't really matter. I mean, it's kind of like riding a bike. Once you get it and you learn what works, you just do the same thing over and over and over again. Like I haven't done it in years, but when I get into training a new guy here at the office, I can hop on and make 10 calls to FSBOs and set a few appointments. Because what they told me 7 years ago is they give you the same objections today. Nothing's really changed.
It's true. What do you get, like 5 to 7 objections that you hear? Pretty much.
They're the same objections. And I think the biggest thing is to just not tell people they're wrong and not argue with them and tell them, hey, you may be able to sell it on your own. Hey, your agent may be able to get it sold, but all I want to do is give you a second opinion. When can I come over there and help, see if I can help?
Okay. I don't want to gloss over what you just said at all. because the thing is that you never tell anybody they're wrong.
Right.
Although you never tell anybody you're wrong, right? Exactly. No, but it's what is it? How to Win Friends and Influence People, I believe, is where I first heard that. Can you just expand on that a little bit, because I think it's super important.
Yeah, because people will tell you, hey, I'll pay you 1% if you bring us a buyer, or we're not paying a buyer's agent, or we've sold houses on our own in the past. They'll tell you all those things, and as soon as you tell them, well, you're not going to be able to sell it that way, you need to pay 3%, or you need an agent, you got lucky last time. Like, you're dead to that person. So all you can really do is just encourage them and say, hey, you may be right. And hey, you want a job? Because if you can sell your home on your own, we're looking for agents, looking for people that can get houses sold. Come work for me. But let me at least come by there, give you a second opinion. You don't have to hire me. There's no obligation. Pretty much I just pull back and put no pressure on, and I wiggle my way into the living room, and then the listing presentation takes care of itself.
What you're saying is you don't argue. I mean, and this goes with, I think, anything in life, right? I mean, if I always say, if a client says the sky is pink and yellow, what color is the sky? What color is the sky? It's what? It is
pink and yellow.
Yellow, and it's just, other than my wife, it works very, very well not arguing with anybody. So,
when you push, people push back. But when you pull and act like you're not going to you're not putting any pressure on them, a lot of times you'll see the conversation turn, and it's like they start pulling you in their direction. And before you know it, you're sitting in the living room with them. And then you still have to have a good listing presentation. If you're just going over there and winging it, you may get 25 to 30% of the appointments you go on. But if you've got a systematic listing presentation that's good, you should win lots of FSBOs and expireds.
Okay. So and you're like, I'm assuming yours is very well on point with what you have. We don't have time to go through the whole, listing presentation here yet. What areas need to fill to be able to succeed in that level?
So there's a process. So it's like you set the appointment, and then you get their email, send them a Google Calendar invite, send them a pre-listing appointment packet via email. That's just get like a credibility kit. Because if you're just setting an appointment and blindly going over there, they don't know you from Adam when you come through the door. But if you've got a good credibility kit or a good website or just something that makes you look like a professional and stand out from the competition, you're a step ahead before you even get in the living room. And then when you let me back up one more time. Then you call and you confirm the appointment the day of or the day before, go through all the pre-qualification questions, make sure that it's going to be a good appointment. All the decision makers are there. See how much they owe on the house, what happened last time, what didn't work, what were they not happy with, what they're looking for in an agent. Go over, meet with the people, and sit down in the living room, or sit down at the kitchen table, not the living room, and actually go through a full presentation. And I do the same thing for every one of my listings, whether it's a $100,000 listing or a $4 million listing. It's the same presentation, and it's just a system and process that I know that works. I lost 200 listings probably in my career by just beating my head against the wall before I learned a process that works. And we don't lose that many anymore. Knock on wood.
So, all right. So you're doing the listing presentation. All right. And I would assume, like, I know what mine looks like. There's certain points I got to hit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you go in there, you build rapport, you find out what happened, what their hopes, dreams, goals, and wants, what, why, the where, the when, the why, the how. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Then you go in there, you do marketing, price, and you close. You know what I mean? So yeah. That's what I found works well. I mean, what does yours look like? Pretty much the same thing. It's build rapport, go through marketing, who we are, what we do, why we do it, how we do it. You try to ask the questions like, what have you interviewed anybody else? Has anybody said anything that knocked your socks off? Anybody said anything you didn't like? That way you're uncovering the objections on the front end or what their selling points are. And then I always talk price last, because if you talk price first and they disagree with your price, you just shot yourself in the foot before you even got started. Price and commission always go last. You tell them that you charge 6-7% on the start. Nothing you say to them going forward, it matters if they disagree with you. All right. So let me ask you, would you be game for a quick role play? Is that cool? Sure. All right. So we're at the appointment. We're at the point where you're going to close me. So first, would you mind closing me, please? Yeah. So I like to go through. I say, all right, Aaron,
After everything I've gone over and shown you marketing wise, do you see why we sell the amount of homes we sell? And do you see why we're the #1 Remax team in the state 6 years?
I do. You know, you guys really seem to have your stuff together.
Yeah. Is there anything that anybody else showed you that knocked your socks off or blew you away?
Well, I mean, we met with Sally Smith Realty, you know, and their social media is really, really strong. You know, they're all over the interweb. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, like I said, you guys look pretty good.
All right. So what did Sally show you that you like so much about their social media?
Oh, their Facebook page was gorgeous.
Got it. Are they doing like paid ads or what about it?
Oh, I don't know. It just looked really nice.
Okay. So like, let me back off. But that's what I would be doing is, okay, I didn't hit social media hard enough. So let me flip back to the marketing page and dig in on social media more.
Okay.
Right.
Got it. Okay. So, okay. Oh, got it. Okay. I understand now what you're talking about.
That's what I'm going to do because I knew I didn't hit. That's a selling point for you, but I didn't hit it hard enough because you already brought up that Sally obviously does a better job with social media than we do.
Exactly.
But if you said, yeah, I see why, say, all right, is there anything that anybody said that you didn't like?
Oh man. I mean, we had agent 1, their price was off, you know, agent 2. I got to tell you, this guy was just, I didn't like him. I just didn't like agent 2. And then we got Sally. You said, you know, you and Sally seem pretty good.
Okay. Yeah. And what price did that agent tell you that you didn't like?
Oh, they were like $100,000 below where you guys are.
Got it. Okay. Well, we haven't even talked price yet, so we'll get there.
Yeah.
But what price did they give you?
$400.
$400. Yeah. Cheap house.
Yeah.
So I'm going to what I'm doing is I'm trying to uncover the selling points before I go for the close. And then if I ask, all right, Aaron, seeing what we've done and what we do marketing wise, is there anything other than price and commission that would keep you guys from doing business with me today?
Well, I mean, I want to sleep on it. You know what I mean? I want to think about it, go over everything, you know, that we processed and, you know, really just, you know, think about it.
Okay. And I'm the last one to go, right? I'm the last one you're interviewing?
Yeah.
Okay. Totally understand. I get this comment all the time. But what better time is there to make a decision, Aaron, than when I'm right here to answer all your questions?
Okay. I mean, I like I said, I understand, you know, it's just, we were there before, you know, like I said, you know, we came off the market and I just want to make sure that we're making the right decision.
Got it. Totally understand. Well, is there anything that I missed that would give you reservations about working with me?
No, I think you guys did a really nice job.
Okay. All right. I'm going to try to tie you down pretty hard to be making a decision today. And I'm going to ask you, Aaron, before I even go on the listing appointment, when I do my pre-qual, I'm going to call and say, all right, if everything makes sense and you feel comfortable with what we do marketing wise, price and commission, are you ready to put me to work tomorrow? I'm going to ask those questions before I go. And that way I know if you say yes, I know I can get you to make a decision today. If you say no, I'm going to think on it. I know I've got more of an uphill battle to get you to that point where you're ready to hire me. Right?
Got it.
Yeah. That's me talking to you as an interviewer, not as a client.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. So, did we make a decision? I mean, if everything makes sense, you know, I think we would. You know, I think we would.
Okay. And then I'll go through, if I get that commitment from you there, then I'll go through price and commission. And then at the end, I let them choose price. One thing you can do with a FSBO or an expire is you tell them a price that they disagree with and they do not hire you. As soon as you tell them a price that they don't like, you're dead to them. So I show them all the numbers and I'll say, all right, Aaron, based on this, where do you think the house needs to be priced?
I would say like 500, 525 is probably where we need to be. Okay.
Yeah. And the way that I show these guys the numbers, the sellers, the numbers, it's so good that they can, if they give me very rarely will they be like, okay, I need to overprice it. Usually they'll see all the numbers and they'll look at these houses and they'll say, all right, I think we need to be within a range. And I know if it's a little high, I'll say, look, Aaron, we can start there, but I highly encourage you, if we're not getting a lot of showings early and not getting offers, that we need to adjust quickly rather than let it sit on the market for a long time. So I'm taking the listing, but I'm already prefacing a price reduction before I take it. Does that make sense?
100%.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I do it. And then at the end, I stick my hand out and I say, all right, you ready to put me to work, Aaron? And it makes for a really awkward question. And then I just shut up.
So, all right. So let me ask you this then. So you're on the appointment.
Yeah.
You do everything. You said, I mean, you're good. I could just, like I said, I talk to a lot of agents. I can tell you're good at what you do. You stick your hand out. You say you're ready to put me to work. How often are they, like, what percentage are they saying yes?
Like if I've done everything right from start to finish, like never. Are they saying no? They're always like, I mean, maybe they'll look at each other and then reach across the table and say, all right, we're ready. And they'll shake hands. But most of the time, if I've crossed all my boxes, if I've checked all my boxes and asked all my trial closes up to the end and gotten yeses to the finish line, I'm going to get a yes at the end.
Okay. For those that may not be familiar with the term, what exactly is a trial close?
A trial close is just like the question that I asked you. If everything makes sense, or after everything I showed you, Aaron, is there anything other than price and commission that would keep us from doing business today? That's a trial close. Because I know once they say no, that they say there's nothing that would keep us from doing business, I can close that door and I can go to price and commission. And those are my last two things that I have to get right with you to get hired. Right.
So your closing is you progress. I mean, you're basically getting agreement throughout the entire process. Yeah. So when it comes back to them, they're like, well, you know what I mean? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm confused. You know, you said the marketing was right. You said the pricing was right. You agree on my fee. I don't get, you know, I don't get it.
Yeah. I'll tell you, if I do all those things and check all those boxes and they don't stick their hand out, I'm losing that listing appointment.
Right.
Probably 9 out of 10 times. Very rarely do you get through all those segments and get to the finish line. And if they tell you, no, we're not quite ready, or if they tell you we need to sleep on, or we need to think about it, very rarely are you actually getting that listing if you leave the living room without a signed contract.
No, that makes perfect sense.
That's just a nice way for them to push you out of the living room and they're done.
No, that makes perfect sense. Like I said, I see the same thing. You know what I mean? And it's like it's walking that line where it's like being tastefully aggressive is where you need to be, right?
Yeah.
And it seems, at least from what you do, is you're extremely competent. You know what I mean, in your process, because how many times have you've done it? What, 10 billion times? Am I right?
I mean, a listing presentation probably 5,000 times, if I had to guess.
And
somewhere around there, if I had to guess.
And I'm going to assume you pretty much do the same thing every time, right?
Every time. Even with friends and family, I still do the listing presentation.
So what you're saying, and what I'm hearing properly here, is don't deviate from your process, correct?
Correct. As soon as you do, you don't set good expectations. They don't understand the processes. They beat you up on the commission because you didn't show enough value, and out the door walks a bunch of money that you should have made. But if you just do the same thing over and over again, it makes your life a lot easier.
100%. And I think what happens, and you'll agree with me on this, trial close, right? Is that there's always a way to do things. But when you find what works for yourself, whether it's on the phone, whether it's in person, whether it's, you know what I mean, meeting with a family member, it's doing what you do, doing it well, and do not trying to get cute, right?
Yes, that's exactly right. And making sure all the decision makers are there is super important. And I like to go last if I can. Yeah.
So how do you position? Like, do you position it in a way is to go last, or do you just like hope that you're going last?
No, I always ask. You interviewing anybody else, or have you interviewed anybody else? Okay, when are those appointments? If it's okay, can we reschedule to Friday? That way you can see what everybody else does, and then you can compare and contrast what we do versus everybody else. Is that fair?
Trial close.
Yeah.
There we go. See, all right. Yeah. No, this is really good. No, this is really, and now with where you're at in business now, how big of a team do you have now?
There's only 6 of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's not. Now, are they following your system and processes as well?
Everybody does the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a process.
So what you're trying to tell me is repetition makes money. Is that right?
Well, yeah. And I'll tell you, repetition makes money, but it also, you can diagnose why you lost an appointment if you do the same thing over and over again every time. Because I can usually go back to my guys and they'll say, well, I lost it. I said, well, did you go last? No. Did you ask this question? Well, no, we skipped that step. Okay, you skipped that step and it cost you $30,000 in commission because they brought up that they had one more person that they were interviewing after you that was already on the schedule and you didn't know about it because you didn't ask them the pre-qual question where they interview anybody else.
That's good. That's good. All right. So this is a question that I asked everybody that comes through this wonderful podcast here is you got a new agent, which it sounds like you get quite a few of them that knock on your door. All right. What's one piece of advice that you have for that new agent?
Get good coaching. I think that's the best thing you can do, and the quickest shortcut to success is to get a coach. If you can afford it, I mean, that coach, especially someone that's done it and been in the business, they can help you shortcut a lot of years and help you from banging your head against the wall and running a bunch of appointments and getting frustrated pretty easily if you get a good one.
Yeah, you got to make sure you get the right one, right? Okay, so no, this is really good. You know what I mean? I love what you're saying about this stuff because we talk about a lot about calling and calling and calling here. Which is where it all starts. Yet the thing is where it comes to a head is when you're actually sitting belly to belly with somebody, right?
Yeah.
And it's nice to see that process, that looks like. So what final words do you have for our people over here in Vulcan7 Nation?
Just be persistent, consistent. Just don't get discouraged because everybody beats their head up against the wall a little bit when they first get started. Learn from your mistakes, but make changes if you make a mistake. And if you lose an appointment, call the people and say, hey, I appreciate your time. Totally understand you're going with Joe. For my own personal growth, what constructive criticism can you give me? What could I have done differently to have earned your business? And they'll usually tell you what the other person did to get their business. And I mean, dig deep and ask questions. Don't just let them tell you were nice, but we felt a little bit more comfortable with Joe. Well, what was it about Joe? I mean, figure it out.
Right. Oh, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. So, Caleb, if somebody has a referral in your area in Charleston, South Carolina, not North Carolina, how do they get in touch with you, my friend?
They can email me or text me, call me. My number is 843-609-5590 is my cell. Text is usually the easiest.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right. Well, thank you very much for being here. Guys and girls, everybody that comes in, we're going to have other agents coming in from across the country. Caleb, would you like to do business together? Are you ready to put me to work?
Yes, sir.
There we go.
Like
All right. All right, everybody. You take care of yourselves. Thank you, Caleb. This is amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me on.
You're welcome.